beloved spiritual warriors. I come to you today with a message regarding the spirit of negative emotions. The spirit of negative emotions. I want to address this message today because it is my experience that many individuals have a negative spirit that contributes to the negative emotions. Now, there are two ways to look at this. There is a psychological aspect, the professional psychologists and therapists, but there's also the spiritual route. My expertise is the spiritual. I'm not a professional licensed psychologist, even though I do have a background of psychology, but I can't speak about psychology because I am not a certified medical doctor in psychology. But I do have a spiritual divine certification in spirituality and detecting when there are negative vibrations that are causing distress in an individual's life. And that's the one that I bring to you today. Specifically, I want to concentrate on one of the many, many symptoms that affect many individuals nowadays. And that is when someone is a high functional depressed person. There are a lot of you that are high functioning depressed individuals. I've seen it for a long time. I continue to see it in my clients' behaviors and issues that they have when they come for their readings. And therefore, I want to address that because I think it's important for us to know, is this me? Is this really me? Or are there lower level vibrations that is causing me to act and be a certain kind of way? Now, let me do a little disclaimer here, or let me just make something very clear. I am the number one individual that will always tell you that though I believe in lower level vibrations and I believe that there are negative spirits that can create havoc in a person's life, this is not in any way, shape, or form an excuse for someone to be mean-spirited, an ugly individual, someone that just wants to create harm, someone that just wants to get their way, someone that's just a bad individual in their heart. You know, it's not to blame everything that a person does to a negative vibration or to a spirit. Oh, I did that because I have a negative vibration on me. Oh, I did that because there was a spirit that made me do that. No, let's leave that BS to the side because this does not fit in here. This video today is just to address the fact that negative spirits, lower level vibrations, can contribute to the negative emotions that we feel as a human being. Specifically today, let's address high functioning depressed individuals. I see them a lot. I've seen them over the years, and you might be one of them. Now, what is a high functioning depressed individual? The psychological route, which I'm not going to speak about, they have, in the DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, they have a classification for it there called the PDD, currently called the PDD, which is Persistent Depressive Disorder, formerly referred to as dysthymia, which is nothing more, nothing less than high functioning depression. But that's not my area of expertise, and I'm not going to speak about that from a psychological standpoint. But from a spiritual standpoint, I believe that before resorting to medications and antidepressants and things of that nature, because many individuals are in some kind of antidepressants and medications, and then yet, even though it helps them a lot, it still does not fix the problem. My issue is to be under some kind of medication and at the end of the day, not getting cured from that, not getting cured from that diagnosis. If a medication cannot cure me, then what's really going on? From a spiritual context, I believe that there are different ways or different reasons why we can be a high functioning depressed individual. And sometimes it is passed down in your genes, it's in your DNA. Maybe your mom was someone that suffered from depression. Maybe your grandmother was somebody that suffered from depression, or an aunt, or so forth. And then it trickles down. It comes, it comes down your gene. And you today are also suffering from depression. And if we go down into your family history and we look deeply into it, we can find, the individual that maybe could be too close to you spiritually or energetically and brings about that depressive mood, right? So high functioning depressed individuals, there are certain characteristics that defines a high functioning depressed person. Low energy is one of them. Low energy, having consistent, this is consistent. Low energy, consistently being fatigued, poor concentration, low self-esteem, difficulty making decisions. You have such a hard time making decisions over simple things in your life. Whether or not you want to go visit a friend, whether or not you want to move, whether or not you want a new job, whether or not you want to stay or be out of a certain relationship. Just hard, making it difficult for you to make decisions in your life. You could also suffer from sleep disturbances, meaning you either have insomnia or you have hyposomnia. You can be someone that sleeps until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, unless you have to be at work. You have a hard time being on time to places. You have consistent chronic feelings of hopelessness. No matter what you do, no matter what you're told, no matter what you read, you still feel hopeless about yourself, about your life, etc. You have low appetite. You don't eat correctly. You have really bad appetite, or you overeat. You overeat and you overeat and you overeat. These are characteristics of someone that has that's a high functioning depressed individual. Now, you could have 2 or more of these symptoms to put you in that particular bracket. If we go to psychologists, therapists, it takes sometimes up to 2 years. It takes actually 2 years or more to be diagnosed with high functioning depression, right? Dysthymia. It takes up to 2 years to be able to be classified as someone that suffers from high functioning depression. But from a spiritual perspective, these things can be detected in things that come up in your reading, in things that in your reading, based on what comes up and you share, with your spiritual healer. These things come up and we're able to really determine if there's a negative vibration that's also contributing to you acting and being this way. And again, one way that you can have this energetically in your spiritual field is because this could have been passed down through your genes, right? But sometimes we go to places. So we had a particular relationship with someone that left that imprint in us, and we have not been able to detach ourselves. Yeah, I ended the relationship. Yes, I'm not with that person anymore. But even though I'm not really missing that person because I'm over that individual, then yet I still feel depressed. So we need to question, did you intake a negative vibration that's been lingering in your spiritual field from that individual? And they left that in your energy field. They left that in your home. They left that in your person. Now, there's different routes to go about that, because sometimes if we're talking about romantic relationships, you could be in a relationship with someone, which this is why women, specifically women, this also can happen to men. But women are higher risks of receiving a negative, lower level depressed spirit that contributes to your high functioning depression, because the woman is the one that intakes. I was going to do a long time ago a video about the negative consequences of sexual intercourse with people, because that's a topic in its own, and I promise to do that video in the very, very near future, because a lot of women need to know, and men too, need to know the negative effects of not being able to find happiness, not being able to get married, not being able to conceive, not being able to just feel happy. And that's just because of the relationship that you had and all that you intake from that person that you would intake from that person that you were with. That's a different subject. But going back to what a high functioning depressed person is, we went over the characteristics, which is low energy, fatigue, low self-esteem, difficulties making decisions. Now, you are also someone that maybe has sleep disturbances. Maybe you suffer from insomnia. Maybe you suffer from hyposomnia. You sleep until 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That doesn't make any sense. You have feelings of hopelessness. We already went over that. Low appetite, overeating. These are all characteristics of an individual that suffers from that is a high functioning depressed person. You can have 2 or more of these characteristics and you classify for that. Now, a high functioning depressed individual, you may not even look like they're depressed. They go about their lives normal, so-called normal, right? Because they're an active mom. They get involved in their sons or daughters, school, etc., and responsibilities. They are a good wife. They are responsible at work. They are actually very critical about work or very critical about certain things in their life. But then yet internally, you're a different ballgame. Internally, you're frustrated. You are exhausted. You feel this hopelessness that you can't control or feel that you can't control. This sense of not being able to accomplish certain things in life. You go into these deep thoughts of the future or the past, right? These are all symptoms and signs of a high functioning depressed individual, which is, you become socially distant, even from loved ones, even from family. You may live with your family or you may live with your significant other and children, then yet you're not really involved with them. You're not connected to them, not because you don't love them, but basically because you sincerely want to be left alone. You don't want to socialize. You don't commit to many social gatherings. You don't go out to appointments. You cancel appointments. You just want to be left alone. That's a high functioning depressed individual. Constantly tired, just constantly tired all the time. You feel tired. Even when you've slept for hours, you still feel tired. There's a negative vibration that's eating up your energy, no matter how many vitamins you take, no matter how much you try to push yourself to exercise, there still is this sense of feeling physically tired. You feel that you have issues concentrating. You can focus. You listen to a podcast, and even after you listen to it, you have to replay it back again, because no matter how many times you listen to it, you feel like the information that was given to you in that podcast, can't stick to your brain. So you have a hard time remembering things. You have a hard time concentrating. Another symptom or sign that you could be a person that suffers from, that you are a high functioning depressed individual, is your coping skills. Sometimes you have very unhealthy coping skills. If you have the need to have a drink every single day, if you have a need for that beer every single day, or you're someone that smokes weed every single day. Again, I don't have an issue, nor am I criticizing people that smoke weed, especially nowadays. That's pretty normal. I don't smoke it, never have, but I don't criticize someone that does. But if you have to depend on the weed to feel calm, to feel zen, to feel relaxed, that is an addiction on weed, and that is a sign that you could be a high functioning depressed individual, because you need that weed to calm you down. You need that weed to make you feel like you can better cope, and then yet the issues that you're worried about, the issues that you are stressing yourself about, are not resolved. They're still there, right? Someone that is chronically negative and always chronically worrying about everything consistently, that is another symptom of someone who is a high functioning depressed individual. Someone that's constantly worrying about their past or about their future, whether it's long-term or short-term, meaning things that already happened to you in your past. things that you already experienced. It keeps you up at night. You're thinking about it all the time, and what it should have been, and what would have been, and what you should have done, and what you should have said, and what should have been done with you, and what you should have received from X, Y, and Z, whether it's from mom or an ex or what have you. Always worrying about the circumstances revolving a past experience or the future. Am I going to get married? Should I or should I not, get this new job? Am I going to get this raise? Am I going to have, be able to conceive? Should I move to a different city, a different state? This constant worry about attaining goals, and it's constant worry about your future. It's a sign that you are someone that's a high functioning depressed individual, constantly worrying about the past, constantly worried about the future. Psychologically, it takes 2 years plus to be able to be diagnosed as a high functioning depressed person, called dysthymia, PDD, persistent depressive disorder, chronic mild depression. This is something that psychologically, professionally, on that side, takes up to 2 years to be able to be diagnosed as a high functioning depressed individual. From a spiritual context, though, you could go to your spiritual healer if he or she knows what he or she is doing, and through a particular reading, we're able to detect if the situations that are going on in your life are signs of being high functioning depressed. And if there's an entity, a lower level vibration, a negative spirit that's contributing to you feeling this particular way, it needs attention. You know why? Because a pill is not going to fix it. Okay, no matter what you do from a medication, pharmaceutical context, it's not going to help the issue, because there's a negative vibration that is making you feel this way, that is maybe creating something that is this small, making it this big, okay? Which is something that maybe you've been suffering for a long time. Some people have been highly functional, depressed individuals for a long time, for years. And then yet, you still are an active mom, you are an involved wife, you are great at your job, you do your daily chores and you take care of your daily things, but you want to be left alone. You get pissed at everything, irritable. Irritation, being getting consistently irritated over the most insignificant things. You pick fights with your significant other or your children or your family members or your friends over nothing, over the door was left open, or you didn't call me at 7 and it's 7:15 and now I'm really mad and I blow off on you. These are signs of you being a highly functional depressed individual. If you're highly irritable, these are things that indicate that there's a negative vibration that is also contributing to you acting this particular way, and that needs attention. Like I said, I am not a professional psychologist, right? But in spirituality, I've learned through readings that being able to really dig deep into a person's spiritual frame, what's called spiritual frame, or spiritual quadrant, we're able to detect energies or spiritualities of light, your guardian angels, your spirit guides, your ancestors. And we're able to detect when there's lower level vibrations, entities that are feeding off of you, sucking you dry, draining you, making you oversleepy, making you consistently tired, not wanting to eat, not feeling, hopeful, not being, goal oriented, not being able to focus on something. There's energies that feed off of that. What kind of energies are those? Those are commonly called lower level vibrations, and many, especially new age practitioners, will talk about lower level vibrations. Oh, there's a lower level vibration, but what is a lower level vibration? From my spiritual experience, when we talk about espiritismo, spiritism, these are spirits that have not elevated. These are energies or entities that have not elevated, right? Energies, the spirits that have not elevated means that the person passed away physically, but they have not elevated in the spiritual realm. They're still stuck, in the earthly realm. They're still, in the earthly plane. They still are not satisfied. They're not accepting that they don't belong to this world. They still want to live amongst us in the terrestrial, in the living plane. They still want to be amongst us because this is the only way they can keep themselves, feeling like they're most alive. This is how they feel that they're still amongst us. And sometimes their lack of elevation causes havoc, distress, anxiety, depression. Even people that want to commit or end up committing suicide, there's an energy, a spirit of suicide that took them down that route, losing hope about life. There's no end. There's nothing for me. No matter what I do, my life is not going to change. Nobody loves me. Nobody needs me. Nobody pays attention to me. I'm not important to anybody. I shouldn't even be here. I might as well just be gone. Why was I even born? My mama doesn't like me. My mama doesn't love me. My mama never really gave me love, or she gave me up for adoption, or my father never came back for me. All these different things that spirits of suicide feed off, right? And makes a person feel like their life has no purpose and there's no way of getting better, and they end up committing suicide, right? When they see everything that's in front of them as dark, as ugly, as unable to overcome that issue. So therefore, when we talk about a high functioning depressed individual, yes, they may not be thinking about suicide, but there's an energy or lower level vibration that keeps them feeling like they're stuck. No matter what I do, life does not get better. No matter what I do, I cannot forget that past experience. No matter what I do, I don't see myself being able to move, be able to see myself getting married. I cannot see myself having children. I can't see myself living a better life. I cannot see myself having a better job. I cannot even see myself being truly loved. I cannot see myself being understood by the people that I love. Energies that contribute to that mentality to keep you locked and blocked. And a good, real deal spiritual healer is able to detect that. So before going into the route of getting into prescriptions and drugs, it is really my spiritual advice that we take the spiritual route first. Because when a spiritual healer is a real spiritual healer, we should be able to know if there's also some chemical imbalance, some psychological issue that then needs maybe the need that there might be the need for medications. There are medications that can help when it's that a situation where it's chemical, where it is in the brain. Then that is something that does require medication / professional help from the psychological side. But more often than not, it's been my experience. I've seen it. Whereas from a spiritual context, through a healing, through a cleanse, through being able to pinpoint which is the negative spirit or vibration that's contributing to your high functioning depressed state, that can be addressed. It can be addressed by dealing with that particular entity, dealing with that particular spirit. And there's different routes, different things that through a consultation, spiritual consultation, there's different things that can come up and how to address that particular spirit. Because the same way that maybe I can have 4 individuals that all 4 of them are high functioning depressed persons, right? But not all 4 of them have the same approach as to healing that depressed state. Maybe maybe that particular spirit that's attacking one individual needs, to be enlightened, be shown the way to them release you and elevate them through prayer, through light, different elevations that is done. But there's sometimes an entity that is so negative, so of the lowest vibration, that spirit needs to really be detached from you by sending it away. There's now from going maybe from a person that only needs to give that spirit attention and pray to that spirit and elevate that spirit. This one just needs to be detached through a cleanse, or what we call in my path of Palo Mayombe, a rompimiento, or in the Orisha tradition, we have a what's called a parado, and different things that are done depending on which route we go that can help detach that negative, Egwin, also called in Orisha, negative spirit of low vibration that have no, because this is the thing. I don't want to go into different things at the same time, but this is the thing. There are entities of lower level vibrations that are willing to elevate if they just are shown the light. But there are lower level vibrations, spirit of lower level vibration, that don't care to elevate, don't want to elevate, and will not elevate. But this person, this entity, needs to be detached from you. We don't want this entity going elsewhere. We don't want this entity disturbing the peace of another individual, but you know you don't want it on you, and it needs to be detached from you. And other times, sometimes it's an entity's or a spirit that has been sent to you, intentionally, and it needs to be sent right back to where it came from. And then there's another situation where, again, it was passed down genetically. So I don't wish my grandmother any bad as a spirit. I don't wish my, deceased aunt or mom, anything bad for her as a spirit. I need to show her that as a spirit, she can see her own light and elevate, and she can come to me to protect me, to guide me, to help me achieve certain things in life. But she needs to come to me as a clean, enlightened, elevated spirit or entity, but not with her earthly, keyword earthly, not with her same earthly negative vibrations. Because when she gets close to me, when that deceased loved one gets close to me, with its same negative lower level vibration that they used to exhibit when they were on earth, instead of helping me, even though that is not my deceased mom's intention, even though that is not my deceased grandmother intention, or whoever that loved one may be, unfortunately, that's what they end up doing. They end up feeding into my own personal earthly challenges, making it worse for me. That's not what they try to do. That's not what they are wishing for me as a spirit, but that's what they end up doing to me, because they have not been able to find their light. So the same way as a spiritual healer, I am able to help that deceased mother, or that deceased grandfather, or that deceased grandmother, right? It's not the same way I would deal with the spirit that was intentionally sent to me. And it's not the same way that I will deal with the spirit that's just is lost in space, in this earthly realm, because he or she hasn't accepted that they are dead. It's different ways. That's why we have to be careful where we go. That's why we have to be careful what kind of energies we bring into our personal space. That's why we have to be careful, who is guiding us, because I may be getting from somebody an aspirin when I really need something for migraine. It's not just a headache, it's a migraine, right? And a migraine pill is not the same as a pill that's intended to reduce or shrink, a tumor. And in the spiritual realm, it works the same way. I hope this makes sense to you. If you need that kind of guidance, that kind of spiritual help, if this is you, if you know that you are someone that falls under these characteristics, and looking at yourself, analyzing yourself, that you could be a high functional depressed person, I am here to help you. Let's consult with spirit. Let's see what spirit says with regards to your situation, and we can go from there. If you need me, I am here. If this is you, tell me about your experience. Leave a comment in the comment section. Share this video with your friends. Tag someone that this could be their personal situation. But ultimately, let's heal. Because the biggest advice that I can give you, my beloved spiritual warriors, is if you know that this is you, the one thing you should not do is to stay quiet about it. The one thing you should not do is attempt to ignore the problem, because it will not get resolved on its own. This is also an issue whereas high functioning depression attacks males differently than it does females. Women, have different characteristics, and men have different ways of dealing with it. So, because men are taught, and we are taught that, we're not supposed to be depressed. So maybe we become workaholics. We don't speak about emotions and what we're feeling internally, right? Society imposes that on us. So men need to address this just as much as women do, okay? But if this is you, I want to help you. If this is you, get help, even if it's not from me. If this is you, ultimately, don't ignore it. If this video made sense to you, leave a comment, hit like, share it, and I hope to hear from you very soon. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, do so. If you don't follow my page, do so. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, do so, because very soon I will be going back to doing my newsletter at least once a month for now. So definitely I hope to hear from you, my beloved spiritual warriors. May you be blessed. May you be blessed and overly blessed. Spiritual Dr. Afi.